Perfect. All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to first of hopefully many live streams I'll be doing. I'm going to really be focused on software development, design patterns, agile development practices, a lot of the skills that I think get missed or at least glossed over in a lot of the educational training for software developers. You know, everybody wants to learn how to code, and while coding is very important, it's just a small piece of the puzzle. You really need to understand how do we break down complex problems into bite-sized chunks that we can work on. How do we plan our software development cycles? What practices can we follow to make sure that we are creating the right thing? And really, I think most of this stems from just caring about your user and knowing your user, getting to know your user, thinking like your user. And that's at the center of everything I do. User empathy is the phrasing that I like to use there. So we'll be diving into all sorts of things in this stream. But today we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with a simple design thinking workshop. So I have an idea for building out a blog. So I want to start blogging on software development. I also like to play poker, so I want to blog about poker, and I want to blog about my other interests like music and DJing. The list goes on. I'm quite a serial hobbyist, as my wife would tell you, and most of my friends. So today we're going to dive into a design thinking workshop. I'm going to just go through the process with you all, show you like how I would do this in a real life design workshop with clients. For those that don't know, I actually have over 10 years experience as a software developer. I spent about 7 years of those working at IBM, where I've transitioned into a role as a software development lead. So I now lead a team on a multi-squad enterprise project for a really large client. And in that time, I've really gathered a lot of these skills and understandings of design, some of the core tenets that I think are really important. So I hope to share those with you, and we're going to apply it today to building a portfolio website. So I think most of you can relate with that. Maybe you're a developer that's just starting out, or maybe you have some experience coding, but anytime you go to build things, you seem to get stuck. You start building something somewhere along the lines. You don't know what you're building, why you're building it, and you can get a little bit of creativity blocked, which is really common. And you know, for the first 3 or 4 years of learning software development myself, I used to kind of get stuck in this loop as well. I'd watch lots of tutorials. I'd watch a whole course on how to build an application with React, but then as soon as I tried to build something myself, I couldn't seem to get past a page or an input form, because eventually I would ask, well, what should my inputs be? And so I would make something up on the spot, and nothing ever came out really well. It was all just kind of half-baked, because really I just wanted to code. And I was trying to learn how to code, but without that planning process, without the design thinking process, I wasn't able to come up with any actually good ideas for things that would help people and help myself and create any use for the user. So I was stuck in that a long time, and most of my projects just kind of died off before I was even able to create anything worth showing. But if you're a developer that's trying to get your first software development job, it's really important to be able to showcase your skills to employers, and there's no better way than to have a portfolio site. I mean, when somebody clicks on your portfolio site and they land there, and it's at least somewhat well designed and put together, that's a big contributor to whether or not I would hire you as the employer. So let's see if we can gather some insights. So we'll start off here. I'm just going to take you all into my favorite tool for design collaboration, and that is Mural. So for those that don't know, Mural is an application where you can, it's just honestly, it's like a big whiteboard. It's a big whiteboard with post-it notes. They have all sorts of cool templates, as I'll show you later on as we go into this workshop, but I can just kind of move around in here. I can scroll in. I can create sticky notes, It's a great environment to just capture your ideas rapidly. I think you could even use it for building out simple prototypes and designs. There's a lot of kind of stick figure drawings that you can do in here, as well as some really basic graphics. It's actually quite a powerful tool. I think most designers that are working today probably know of Mural, and they probably use it on a daily basis. So it's actually free. I think you can use up to 2 murals, but there's no limit to how much space in the mural you can take up. So no reason that you can't do this for multiple projects all in one mural for the free version. And I'm sure that there's a contributor version that's not too expensive. But great tool. I definitely recommend it. And you'll get to see a lot of it as we go through this workshop. So to begin, why start with design thinking? Well, design thinking is the foundation of successful software, in my opinion at least. I think for new developers, it prevents the number one reason for project failure, which is building the wrong thing, not understanding your users. And more importantly, for those of you that are learning, using design thinking and understanding design thinking, be able to discuss software through the eyes of design thinking will be very valuable to your employers. It's going to make you a valuable developer from day one if you pick up design thinking. So some of the common developer pitfalls that you can fall into without design thinking is you got an idea, you jump straight into coding. This tends to lead to building features that nobody wants. You also can get stuck in the technical debt, the technical aspects of your application. As soon as you start writing that first piece of code, you're like, well, should it be a React app? Should it be a Nest app? What libraries do I need? And you can really get stuck in the weeds there before you even write one piece of functionality. So design thinking is going to help us get through that by first very clearly defining what it is we're going to build. I think the most important pitfall here is losing sight of the end user. Again, everything is about the user in software development. You need to know your users well, you need to know what they want, and you need to just assume that you don't know. Not making assumptions is one of the most valuable things a developer can do. Just don't assume that you know your user. Go ask them, or write the least possible code to build a feature and then test it. See, how are users using it? Are they responding to it? Any way that you can create testing is always a valuable thing to do in software development. And finally, the last pitfall is struggling to explain your project's value. So if you've ever built something and I was to ask you, what does it do? If you have a hard time answering that in less than 10 words, then you don't know what it does. So you need to be able to solve real-world problems. Great software solves problems that exist in the real world. But especially when you're learning to build, it's easy to get stuck in the ideas. Everybody's an idea guy or gal. So let's move on here. The power of what before how. It's a key tenet of design thinking. Design thinking helps you define the right problem to solve, to understand who it is you're building for, how to make decisions based on what your users need and not just what you think you should build. And very importantly here, for getting unstuck, it creates a clear roadmap for development. Design thinking, if you do it correctly, by the end of this workshop, we should know what we're going to build. And we're going to break that down into the smallest pieces possible so that we can start writing our stories. Because once we have our stories, we know what it is we need to build, then the actual design and development can begin, and we can start trying to build something that's actually worth building. Which leads to the last point here, build with purpose and confidence. So why do new developers need this the most? Well, design thinking is going to help you stand out in your job interviews. It's going to help you contribute more than just code. So when you are on a software team and you understand design thinking, you're going to be involved in those conversations to help guide the product. I think if you're a front-end developer and you're just starting out and you just want to build front ends, you like the UI aspect, you need to understand design thinking, because front-end developers are in a very unique space in the software development lifecycle that they can really contribute to the design. They have an understanding of the code side, of the structure, the architecture of the application. They have an understanding of things like the DOM and the screen and how screens react and how web browsers react, and those things are super important for design. Where designers who've been working primarily in Figma and wireframing, they might not have a great understanding of those concepts. So when they go to build, they're missing that information. So you as a developer can help provide that, can help bridge that gap. And it makes our jobs much more creative than a back-end developer that's focused only on algorithms, right? So front end is a much more creative form of software development, in the sense that you're building and designing the piece that the user interacts with, right? User interaction, user experience, UI, UX. It's built right there into the name. Design thinking will also help you build a portfolio of projects that impress employers. Will help you understand product development in total from beginning to end, and it'll help you to think like a senior developer. So I promise you, if there's a senior developer out there, the first thing that they do when they start a new project is not to start typing into their IDE. All right, they're going to do some planning, they're going to do some thinking, they're going to break down their problem, and then the phrase that comes to mind is measure twice, cut once. All right, user empathy. This is your competitive advantage. Understanding your users will help you move beyond features to solve real problems. It's going to help you create intuitive, user-friendly solutions. It's going to help you build things people actually want to use. And it's going to help you make informed technical decisions so you can deliver value from the start. All right, user empathy is at the center of everything. So as we get into our design workshop here, we're going to start really early on figuring out who are our users. All right, that leads to the framework. 5 steps to building better software, our design thinking framework. Step 1, we're going to empathize. We're going to understand our users. 2, we're going to define what is the problem that our users have. What is the problem we're trying to solve? 3, we're going to ideate. We're going to use this workshop as a space to creatively come up with all the ideas that we can to solve our problems. Okay, when we're in a creative space, we want to get rid of negative language. We want to get rid of judgmental thoughts about our ideas. There will be time for that later. But when we're ideating, we want to just spew our mind out onto the paper, out onto the mural board. We want to get it out there. And then once we have all the crazy ideas, we can start to look at them and find patterns and see how we can take those ideas and create the best thing. So this is really about brainstorming. Step 4 is to prototype. We want to test ideas quickly. What is the least we can write and build to test our assumptions so that we're not building the wrong thing? All right, we think that our users want this. We're going to build it. We're going to do the least possible. We're going to get it out to our users. We're going to see how they're using it. And then we're going to iterate, which leads to step 5, test, learn, and iterate. So every time that we're going to do this process, the design thinking process, it's not a one-time thing. We design thinking, we build it, done, send it out. Software is not like real-world products that exist. You can build it once, you sell it, it's good for a while, you throw it away. Software is constantly growing and changing. Okay, all the best software in the world was not made once and released. I mean, imagine if we were still using the iPhone 1. It'd be pretty limited. All right, you got to continuously iterate, continuously test your assumptions, see how your users are using it, learn from them, iterate. And it's a cycle, it's a loop where it's going to do this over and over. And that's how great software is built. Some of the best applications you could think of, Instagram's a great example. It started as one thing to solve one problem. The users were using it another way. The developer said, let's run with that. Let's solve their problems. Let's not build our idea and not care about that. You're just going to continuously iterate. You're going to see what your users need. You're going to build it. All right. This leads to real-world impact. The benefits of design thinking are faster development cycles. Your boss is going to love that. Fewer revisions. measure twice, cut once, better user adoption, people will actually download your application. More successful projects and happier stakeholders for you sales folks out there. That means your clients. All right, so as we get into this workshop, today's goals are how to think like a product designer. I'm going to showcase some tools for user research and empathy, some methods for defining clear problems, some of the techniques we can use for effective ideation, and we're going to discuss ways to validate the ideas before we start coding. All right, now we're going to jump into our agenda. So I think we'll be able to get through our rapid ideation, and then in our next stream, we'll jump right back in and we'll do our affinity diagramming. So our first 10 minutes, we're going to do user empathy. We're going to figure out who our user is. We're going to try to put ourselves in their shoes. We're going to go into the second piece, which is the how might we. This is an exercise where we can discuss how we might be able to provide value to our users. So we'll jump more into that. Rapid ideation is just going to be rapid fire brainstorming. And then we'll jump into the rest of these as we get into the second part of our design thinking workshop tomorrow. All right, so that's all nice and long-winded. Let's see if we have anyone in the chat asking questions. Okay. All right, sounds good. Now, typically when we do a design thinking workshop, we do this with all of our teammates. I don't think it should be just designers. You definitely need to have some type of product owner. That's the person who's maybe non-technical, but they're owning the product. So a lot of times if you work for clients, you might have the client there. They're the product owner. They're the ones that are trying to build something for their users, their customers, and they're the perfect person to be the product owner. Typically, it's the person who has the most understanding about what it is we're trying to solve, the problem itself. So in this case, I think I'm sort of the product owner because I'm the software developer who's trying to build my portfolio, trying to build my blog. So I'd be the product owner. I'm also going to be the facilitator. Facilitator is the person who runs a workshop. You know, your job is to make sure that things keep moving, that we don't put too much judgment too early on in the process so that we can come up with the best ideas possible. Really want to foster an environment of collaboration, of design, of big thinking. And it can be a designer or it can be a developer. It's not as common for developers to lead design workshops, but I've done it quite a bit. And I find that we are well poised, and it's a bit of a cheat code in your career. If you're able to do design thinking workshops and facilitate workshops as a developer, I promise you employers are going to like that, and that's really going to help you stand out above some of your peers. Developers, architects, I think should definitely be involved in the design thinking workshop. So when you go to build your application, have the whole team there. When you go to do the design thinking workshop, have the entire team there. Have designers, developers, architects. We're going to have our product owner, any subject matter experts, and potentially anybody who maybe is just like your user, somebody who would help give you some insight into what your users need, what your users might want, what they may be thinking, because this is about ideation and the creative process and like understanding our users. So these folks can really help us to get there. All right, so let's just jump into it. So we're going to do user mapping. Before we do that, I'd actually like to just define our problem here. So I'm going to create a new area. We'll get some good work here. In Mural. I'm going to name our area problem statement. And we'll blow that up. Give this a background color. All right, now we got a white area. You can even add this to my outline here. So what is, I'm going to move this above, right below agenda. So now I can jump from agenda to our problem statement. I'm going to put a lock on this so it doesn't move around. So now I just double click here and it's going to pop up my sticky note. And so let's see if we can define our problem statement. All right, so just spit some ideas here. I want to showcase my software development skills to potential employers and clients. I want to share ideas with the software development community, and I want to share my design and development process with my viewers. So just a couple ideas of what I want. But you know, this isn't really a problem statement. It's what I think I want to build. So how do we get away from this? Well, normally I'd talk through this with some teammates, but since it's just me at the moment, I got a really cool idea. We're going to integrate some AI. So I've really been using generational AI lately. And so I would like to maybe create a new project. And Claude, I think I'm paying 20 bucks a month for using Claude. It's a great project. I find that the ideas are really well done. And I just have a great time just chatting with it and using it to really push my creative thoughts out into content of all different sorts. Actually, a lot of what I've come up with for the workshop and some of the content that I've put out so far has come from working through Claude. So it's a great tool, and I think we could really use it to ideate. So we're going to create a new project. This is going to be software developer portfolio application. What are we trying to achieve? Well, we want to build a portfolio application to share with employers and write blog posts. Okay, and the first thing that I want to ask is, how do I turn this into a problem statement? So let's come back here, check this out. I'm going to highlight these. Copy text. Hi Claude, you are my collaborator How do you spell collaborator? For design thinking workshop. Today we are going to run through design thinking activities to figure out what to build and ultimately come up with a MVP statement. Don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but the ultimate goal of a design thinking workshop is the MVP statement. So we go through all of this to just come up with our MVP statement, which is a sentence that very clearly defines what we're trying to build, the value that it gives, who we're giving that value to, and how we're going to test our assumption. If you come up with an MVP statement that's succinct, it can become your northern star that will point you in the right direction at all times. So we're going to come up with an MVP statement. First, I would like to share some of my thoughts. Can you use them to come up with a solid problem statement? Here are my ideas. And I just Command V. Our stickies were copied straight out of Mural. Very cool feature of Mural. And let's see. All right, so Claude's going to use some design thinking right from the start here. All right, so he highlights a few of the key themes. Looking at these together, it seems the underlying problem involves connecting your expertise with your target audience in a meaningful way. Gives us a couple of ideas for our users there. Here's a proposed problem statement following the format, how might we? How might we help software developers effectively showcase their skills, thought process, and ideas to potential employers, clients, and the developer community in a way that demonstrates both technical expertise and problem-solving capabilities? I love it. It gives us a few reasons why this problem statement is good, and if we wanted to refine it further, he gives us some good examples of how we might do so. But I think this is good for our start, so we'll come back and we'll paste this in. I'm going to use text, heading. I love that he framed it with how might we as well. Good positive language that helps you think about new ways that you might be able to solve rather than pigeonholing you into a specific solution. Perfect. Okay, there's our idea, our problem statement. Moving on, we're going to go into user mapping. So let's see if I can start a timer. I think I need to install one here. And I'll start it on my phone. Okay, 10 minutes. So we're going to start with user mapping. So user mapping is where we're going to figure out who our users are and try to come up with a phrase that gives us a perspective of their mindset, their motivation, their goals, their attitudes, and we're going to go through some of these exercises for each one just to help understand our users better. So let's think about our users. First one would be employers or clients. And I actually like to give them a name. So let's say Pamela. Pamela. Employer or client. We have ourselves. I'm going to use the boy because I'm a boy, but for you ladies out here, don't be afraid to use whichever. So, persona name, let's say Juan. I'm a software developer. A software developer that wants to share his portfolio. Okay, and our final person will be Clara. Clara is a software developer junior software developer that wants to grow into a senior front-end developer. All right. And let's see if we can use our helpful friend Claude here to work through our workshop with us. Rapid ideation. All right, so first let's focus on Pamela. So Pamela is a potential employer or client. So let's ask the situation and context. What is the typical context of the real people represented by this archetype? So I'll tell Claude, now we are going to start our user empathy activity. First, we are focused on Pamela, a potential employer or client. Help us work through this first question. What is the typical context of the real people represented by this archetype? All right, so Claude's already helping us get some ideas here. So let's see what we got. There's a professional context. It's likely a hiring manager, technical lead, or business owner. May be responsible for building and managing technical teams. Has to make critical hiring, contracting decisions that impact project success. Likely reviews numerous candidates' portfolios regularly. That's a key piece there. Great insight. May be managing multiple open positions or project needs simultaneously. So they might be busy. They might not be spending all day long just looking at portfolios. They might only be looking for an hour at a bunch of portfolios because they got a lot of other things going on in their day. Good to know. What other business context? Needs to identify talent who can deliver real business value. Maybe working within a budget and timeline constraints. Important. Must balance technical excellence with culture fit. Is accountable for hiring outcomes to upper management or stakeholders. In the technical context, Pamela has enough technical background to evaluate capabilities. Needs to assess both current skills and learning potential. Understands technical requirements for their project's positions, may be dealing with evolving technology needs, has to evaluate how candidates' skills align with their tech stack. That's key, so I think maybe we can be more upfront about our tech stack. In a time context, often juggling multiple responsibilities, limited time to review each candidate, needs to make efficient yet informed decisions, may be working against hiring deadlines, and values clear, quick ways to assess candidate capabilities. I really like that. So let's see, which of these would I pull out? Professional context, I'm just going to paste this in here, and so let's zoom in. I don't want all of these. Likely a hiring manager, that's good. Likely reviews numerous candidate portfolios regularly, maybe managing multiple open positions or project needs simultaneously. I think I saw that in some other ones. So there we go. I think these two are the biggest ones from the professional context. Okay, from the business context, let's just copy and paste this quickly. Business context, Pamela needs to identify talent who can deliver real business value. Working within budget and timeline constraints, that's important. Must balance technical excellence with culture fit. I think that's important as well, because maybe we can highlight some of our culture to potential employers so that they can see that up front and save us time, save them time. Accountable for hiring outcomes to upper management or stakeholders. That is a key. I think that's more of a motivation. I'm going to drop that down here. Potentially dealing with pressure to fill positions or find contractors quickly. I'm going to move that down here as well. Must balance technical excellence with culture fit. I like that. Okay. In the technical context, Pamela has enough technical background to evaluate capabilities. Needs to assess both current skills and learning potential. Understands technical requirements. Maybe dealing with evolving technology needs. Has to evaluate how candidates' skills align with their tech stack. I think the technical background is important, so it's good to remember that Pamela, as they're visiting our webpage, website, web application, whatever it might be, they probably have some technical experience. They have some technical background, so they're going to know what we're talking about. So we can write and build our page as we're writing to a user who has that technical background. So that's great. All right, and then from the time context, often juggling multiple responsibilities. Let's see which of these we like. Besides hiring, limited time to review, needs to make efficient yet informed decisions. It's obvious. Maybe working against hiring deadlines. Values clear, quick ways to assess candidate capabilities. I like that one. So we'll stick with those. Great. Okay, moving on. We're going to go to goals and motivations. Just pop that right into Claude here. Okay, building a high-performing team that delivers results, reduce stress from having reliable team members, work-life balance, pride in mentoring and developing. That's a big one. Risk-related motivations, avoid costly hiring mistakes, protecting her team's productivity and morale, maintaining project momentum, preserving team culture. All right. All right, let's prompt Claude here to really break down. So building a high-performing team that delivers results, avoiding costly hiring mistakes, work-life balance, and contributing to company project success. Okay, can I paste all these right in? Sort of, didn't do a great job. So let's copy this. All right. Looks like 10 minutes up. We've only gone through one user here, but let's keep it going. Work-life balance. Contributing to company project success. Okay. And whoops. So I really want these up here. And later it can come in here and remove things that I don't think are valuable. So now we'll go into the fears and frustrations. So let's clear these out. Okay, we'll ask another question. What keeps him up at night? What does a bad day look like? Recent hire concerns, team dynamics, business pressure. A bad day looks like arriving to find urgent emails, new hire struggling more than expected, team member unexpectedly announces their resignation. These are all things that I can actually relate to. In the afternoon, maybe some failed technical interviews, morale issues with the team, pressure from upper management. Great scenarios here. So I'm just going to take the big bullet points here. Recent hire concerns, team dynamics, and business pressure. I think that captures everything. All right. And finally, what does this person do to accomplish their goals? Okay, this person, in order to accomplish their team building goals, might review portfolios, resumes, and code samples methodically, conduct structured technical interviews with standardized questions, they check references. Okay, they look for candidates' online presence. They assess both technical skills and culture fit. I like that. They maintain professional networks, attend industry events, partner with trusted recruiters, engage with tech communities online, keep in touch with previous successful candidates. Engage with tech communities online. I like that. Maybe there's a way that we can incorporate that. Due diligence. They create detailed job descriptions, document interview feedback systematically, consult with team members. They might review their past hiring decisions to improve the process. I like that. Iterative approach. And then for risk management, they might implement trial periods, set up structured onboarding processes, create clear performance expectations. Well, that's cool. I don't know that it applies here. All right, moving on. Let's go to our second user. This is Juan. Juan, or Juanton, is a software developer that wants to share his portfolio. So let's tell Claude here. Great work, Claude. Next, we will focus on our second user, which is Juan, a software developer that wants to share his portfolio. What is the typical context of the real people represented by this archetype? Okay, some context here. Currently working as a software developer, accumulated various projects and experiences to showcase, maybe at a career transition point, looking for promotion, a new role, freelance work. Likely balancing portfolio creation with current work responsibilities, could be competing in a crowded job market. They have diverse technical skills, they want to stand out in a competitive field, part of various developer communities, may be active in open source projects. Love it. Can you narrow this down to the 4 most important points? All right. So I think that gets us where we want. We've accumulated various projects and experiences, balancing portfolio creation with current work responsibilities, ways to stand out in a competitive field, may have contributed to both personal and professional projects. Love that. Okay. Beyond our product or service, what motivates this person? And so I'm using Claude today. I really just want to show the value of using generative AI. I think so many people are sleeping on what a powerful tool this is. It just helps us generate things. It helps us brainstorm. I've been using this quite a bit through all my life, all my hobbies, and it's saving me a ton of time. And in here, in this case, I'm able to use Claude as my only collaborator when I have nobody else here in this workshop with me. So I think this is great. Tool to use, and I recommend that you all start picking up generative AI, whether it's ChatGPT, OpenAI, I think IBM has some tools that you can use. So Claude is just one of the many tools that is out there, but I've been really enjoying it. So analyzing some key motivations for Juan. Career growth motivations, personal growth motivations, like mastering new technologies, building confidence, creating a legacy of the work he's proud of, helping other developers learn and grow. That's a big part for me. Building lasting professional relationships and giving back to the developer community, very important. And in the impact-related motivations, creating solutions that solve real problems, which I can definitely agree with. This is awesome, Claude. Can you narrow this down to the top 4 points? Okay, first goal and motivation, increasing earning potential and financial security. That's fair. We're all doing that. Creating solutions that solve real problems. Big part of my efforts so far in development. Building confidence in my abilities. Being part of meaningful technical discussions. Don't like those last two. I think I'm going to go steal some of these ones here. I really liked helping other developers learn and grow. I have confidence. I don't need that. And making a positive difference through code. Inspiring others to grow in their careers. Building things that last and have value. I like this. Building lasting professional relationships. All right. What keeps them up at night? I know I can answer this for myself. Feeling like I'm not sharing enough, or that my team is not growing constantly. I want to make sure that all the developers who work with me are constantly growing, improving, iterating on ourselves as well as the products that we build. What keeps me up at night? Usually like React issues, JavaScript issues. What is going on with this bug? I don't understand it. So solving bugs, I should say bugs. Bugs keep me up. Get stuck debugging a problem with no clear solution. See, Claude knows. All right, so am I falling behind on the latest technologies? Is my current skill set becoming outdated? Are my projects impressive enough to attract opportunities? I like that one. What if I'm pigeonholed in my current tech stack? Portfolio concerns. How do I showcase complex projects simply? Am I highlighting the right skills? Will anyone actually look at my work? How do I stand out among thousands of other developers? I think that's an important one. Time management anxiety. When will I find time to work on side projects? How can I balance learning new skills with current work? Am I spending enough time building my portfolio? What if I'm missing better opportunities while stuck in my routine? I like how can I balance learning new skills with current work? Actually, when will I find time to work on side projects? That's key here because I think that can drive our design. Bad day looks like wakes up to production issues at work, realizes a portfolio project is breaking changes due to API updates, see posts about new technology making his current skills obsolete. I don't know about that one. Gets stuck debugging a problem with no clear solution, misses a learning opportunity, receives feedback that his code documentation needs improvement. It's kind of a silly one. Nobody's ever writing that much documentation that someone's going to be giving you feedback. I'd love to see that. Too mentally drained to work on portfolio projects, sees impressive portfolios from other developers online, questions if he's on the right career path. I like this one because I think a lot of us see portfolios online. We're looking at like the top of the top portfolio, and it can be a bit demotivating to see that, and you just feel like your work's not that great. But the truth is, if you start working on it, it might not be great the first day, but if you keep iterating, you can build a great portfolio. And what you miss out is a lot of these people, they have much more experience, right? They've been in the field for 10, 15, 20 years. If we've only been in for 3 years, we can't expect our portfolio to be that great, and it doesn't need to be. I do interviews for junior developers, and most of them don't have portfolios. So just even having one is a huge step above a lot of your competition. All right. What does the person do to accomplish their goals? We can work on that one later. And finally, we have Clara, a junior software developer that wants to grow into a senior front-end developer. And let's see how Claude can help us here. She might be early in her software development career, 1 to 3 years experience. Learning to navigate workplace dynamics. Has solid fundamentals but gaps in advanced concepts, comfortable with basic technologies, learning modern frameworks, struggling with architectural decisions, wants to understand building experience with real-world applications. Maybe, maybe not. Learning context, actively seeking learning resources. I think if you're landing on this, that probably defines you. Following experienced developers online, sometimes overwhelmed by a vast amount to learn, looking for practical examples of career progression. Wants to learn best practices and industry standards. I think that's a good one. Uncertain about the path to senior level. Actually, I think I'm going to replace that. It's a little more of what I'm going for here. Seeking clear milestones for advancement. Looking for opportunities to take on more responsibility. Okay. Beyond our product and service, what motivates this person? Earning respect and trust from senior devs, making meaningful contributions to important projects, being seen as technically competent, having her ideas taken seriously by the team. Yeah, that's a good one. Learning to write maintainable, scalable code, mastering front-end best practices and patterns. Overcoming imposter syndrome. I think that one really plagues junior developers. And it really shouldn't, okay? Everybody started where they didn't know something. And it makes you feel a little bit like you're not, and it takes a long time before you really have that confidence in yourself. But just lie to yourself. Just tell yourself that you are a developer. Believe that you're a developer, because you are. If you've written some code, you're a developer. You're on your path. You're moving along the way. I think what really breaks the difference between juniors and seniors is juniors don't know what they don't know, and senior developers know what they don't know, and know what they need to not know, and know what they do need to know. A little inception there. Creating a sustainable long-term career path. That's a good motivator here. And creating user experiences that make a difference. That's near and dear to my heart. Contributing to team success in meaningful ways. Building features users actually value and enjoy. Being part of projects she's proud to show family and friends. I'm going to go with creating user experience that make a difference. All right, what keeps them up at night? Whoops. Professional insecurities, technical anxieties, career path worries. Do my teammates think I ask too many questions? I'm going to put this one here. The answer is no. I prefer developers that ask too many questions over developers who don't ask enough. Asking questions is at the forefront of a strong developer toolkit. I ask questions constantly. I'm literally doing this right now using Claude by just simply asking questions and letting Claude come up with the answers. And then just using my brain to kind of filter through it. So always ask questions. Always ask questions. Asking questions at the forefront of design thinking. All right, technical anxieties. Did I implement this feature the right way? Am I missing fundamental knowledge others have? I like that one. How do senior devs seem to debug issues so quickly? That's a great question. Because there's been plenty of times where I've had a developer is like stuck on something for 2 hours and they come to me and they're like, oh, Juan, I can't figure this out. Of course, I know the answer. One line of code. Yeah, it's fixed. Oh, wow, man, Juan knows everything. No, I don't. I spent 5 hours on that myself 3 years ago, and it's ingrained in my brain. That's how software development is learned, in the trenches. You really got to go. You got to work. You got to build things. You're going to run into walls. You're going to debug. You're going to run into big problems. You're not going to be able to finish it. You're going to go to sleep thinking about that freaking problem, and then tomorrow you're going to wake up, and you're going to start working on it, and you're going to solve it. And you're going to be like, let's go. And when that happens, you're going to internalize it. And that's learning. That's so much deeper learning than most things that you're going to do in tutorials. Career path worries. Am I focusing on the right technologies? Should I be learning more? What if I'm stuck junior too long? How do I know if I'm actually improving? I like this. Too mentally exhausted to do after hours learning. I get it. I get it. All right. So there we go. So we've gone through our user empathy here. It took a little bit longer than I thought, almost half an hour. So I definitely got to adjust my agenda times here. But I think we have a good understanding of who our 3 user types are, what are their goals, motivations, and now as I'm building, as I'm going through the rest of the design thinking workshop, and even later down the road when I'm building my actual portfolio site, I can come back here and reference this just to get regrounded into who my users are so that I'm not losing sight of that. All right, the next section here is the how might we section. And so for how might we, let's dive into this a little bit. So the idea here is to spark new ideas using well-written how might we questions. So this is just an example. We feel burdened by the maintenance of our current products. That's the problem statement. And then we ask some how might we questions that will help guide us to some potential issues, thinking of ideas and brainstorming ideas of how to solve those specific questions. So let's go into it. Whoops. Let me go to my outline. User mapping, how might we? Okay. I need somewhere to post my, I'm just gonna say blog entries in general. Share my results to improve. Share my software development portfolio while inspiring others. How can we eliminate costs while maintaining high performance? That's a good one. Talking about the site. How can I make creating content a simple, easily repeatable, and joyful experience? So thinking back to our user Juan, all right, I'm a software developer. I want to share my ideas. I want to blog. I'm tired. I'm coming home from work. I'm exhausted. I have other responsibilities that are taking up my day. I don't have a lot of time to write the blog, so I need to make it easy. I need to make it simple so that I can repeat this process over and over. How might we create a product that gives value to others? Okay, so now I'm thinking about Clara, our junior developer. How can I help Clara get some value out of my application, out of my website, out of my blog, whatever it might be? How might we create an employee-led maintenance program? This was just one of the examples. So these are some examples of bad questions because you're embedding the solution into the question. So this is the key piece I'd like to touch on. When you're doing design thinking, you want to ask open-ended questions, questions that leave room for the brainstorming, for the creativity, for the thinking to come up with a solution that solves a problem. Don't ask a question that has the solution built into it, because then you pigeonhole your solutioning. So now if I say, how might we create an employee-led maintenance program? Well, we already know we're creating an employee-led maintenance program. I don't even know what the problem is that we're solving with that. So how can I solve the problem the best if I already think I have a solution? I see this all the time in software development. You'd be surprised, even on the biggest enterprise teams, huge $100 million projects, folks are saying, "Oh, I want to build the next Facebook." The next Facebook for who? For what? What are you building it for? Like, you need to think of who the user is, what are their problems, and then ask how might we solve that problem. So that's what we're trying to do here. Another bad example, how might we improve our approach to maintenance? Avoid dull, uninspiring questions. It's not really going to get you there. And then once we have our questions, we could use those to brainstorm our new ideas in the next workshop. So let's come up with some how might we's. Now, what's great about Claude is, as we're moving along, Claude is keeping track of what we've been working on. So I've been telling him from the beginning, we're in a design thinking workshop. He helped us craft our problem statement. So let's ask Claude, based on our problem statement, can you generate 20 well-written and inspired how might we questions?
No worries. I'm joining in from Barcelona right now, but I'm based in San Francisco, working remote for a little bit. Yeah.
All right. How might we create clear pathways for junior developers to progress to senior roles?
Barcelona for a
I
couple
like
more
that.
weeks. Barcelona
How
for a
might
couple
we
more
help
weeks
developers
and then
identify and fill knowledge gaps in their journey?
Yeah.
How might we make the learning process a self-valuable part of the portfolio?
9 weeks.
How might we help developers showcase their growth trajectory over time? How might we empower developers to learn from each other's experiences? It's a good one. I hadn't even thought about that.
I love it out here. It's one of my favorite cities.
How might we foster meaningful connections between developers at different experience levels? How might we make sharing knowledge as rewarding as gaining?
Technically 30 working days.
How might we create safe spaces for developers to show work in progress projects?
To make it 9 weeks. Yeah.
How might we encourage constructive feedback within the developer community?
Yeah, you can do it across the world. I just had to get manager approval. Obviously, my manager had to go all the way up to
I like these two here.
But I'm on our events org, so really working with the global teams on the world tour portfolio and stuff while I'm out here. Yeah.
This one's important because I do work on some projects with NDAs, so I'll need to consider that. So awesome. first ones right off the bat are great.
Great to meet you.
Can I do paste?
Yes. Yeah, the Amer ones are coming in fast.
There we go.
Okay, I'm seeing we only have 2 minutes, so I can go quickly. I put in as my superpower.
Got my wife here working with me as well.
And one thing that I really, the place that I learned storytelling was actually at a previous job. The first day there, I
do
hired
like
as
this
a
one a lot.
contractor to help with one of their event conferences. And the owner of the event, we had something called Show and Tell. It was a startup, and the entire organization basically sits in the basement. And the owner of the event came and spoke to the event.
This is a good one.
Started to tell a story about his grandma, and like there were literally people in the room who were crying, and somehow brought it back to like, and register for this event, and like just did such a good job storytelling. And since I was contracted to work on the event, I kind of took it upon myself to reach out to him and have him teach me.
Gonna mute my mic. All right, so I think we have our how might we questions here. Took most of these from Claude. I really like the way he spit these out. A lot of them sound really good. They're creative questions that will help spark our ideation in the next design workshop as we go into our rapid ideation phase. They got us thinking about a lot of the problems that our users might be using or might be running into. They got us thinking from their perspective, from both the developer community, from potential employers, as well as for myself. And then I did want to keep some of these how might me's that I created here. Joyful. I just like these two. So I'm going to copy that. So a little trick, if I am typing in here, I press the tab button, it creates a note with that same style. Tab again, and in this one I actually want to paste this. All right, I'll get rid of this little guy in the back. Okay, so there's our how might we questions. All right, and that brings us to the end of our first stream of the workshop. Hopefully you guys got some value from this. So in the next stream, starting tomorrow, we're going to go through the next steps, which are rapid ideation. We're just going to use Claude and ourselves to come up with as many crazy ideas for how we could solve some of these how might we's. And then after we go through rapid ideation, we'll go to affinity diagramming. This is where you take all of the crazy ideas that you had, you spit them onto the whiteboard, and you start reading them and looking through them, clustering them together in things that solve the same problems, or they're like around the same topic, the same concept or idea. Start to group them together. From there, I think we should be able to go into our MVP statement creation based on some of the clusters that we come up with, like what are the main ideas that we have, and how can we put that into a succinct MVP statement. And of course, I'll save some time for the Q&A as well as next steps after our design workshop. So hopefully you guys found this useful. Again, my name's Juanton. I'm a software developer working at IBM for the last 7 years with over 10 years of experience building UI, UX applications using React.js, Node.js, a lot of experience with just JavaScript in general, and of course HTML and CSS, which are the building blocks of all web applications. I have a lot of experience with design as well as development, and I hope to share that with you all throughout my experiences in the rest of these streams. So thanks for tuning in. If you've come this far, hopefully you'll do me a favor and you will go to this link. I'll drop it below in the video. This link is to the newsletter sign up page. You can sign up to my email newsletter where I can be in your inbox sharing some of my best tips, upcoming blogs and articles, as well as keeping you up to date on when the next streams will be. So make sure to check for that down below in the description. And if you haven't already, smash that like and subscribe button. Thanks all for joining. Looking forward to this stream series. I'm really excited to be here with you all, learning, growing endlessly and iteratively. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.